Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Dorothy Kaltzma.
Good? Yes? All right. I can't believe, thank you everybody for coming. I can't believe it's time for another Step Forward meeting. These months just go so quickly. Today we have a fabulous guest speaker, Lisa Lieberman Wang. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about her. Then we're going to watch a video, and then she'll come up and do a fabulous presentation. So a little bit about Lisa. Lisa is the author of the #1 internationally best-selling book, Find to Fab, which you will all have the opportunity to purchase at the end of her presentation. Lisa is a relationship expert and creator of the cutting-edge neuroscience, neuro-associative programming NAP. She created NAP for you to be able to heal in a short period of time, avoiding years of shame, blame, with a proven model to break through whatever is weighing you down. Using this technology, she has helped thousands of people overcome lifelong emotional challenges stemming from relationships with themselves and others that led to depression, anxiety, stress, self-sabotage, emotional eating, shopping, and sexual abuse with her proven 7 secrets to Fab. Lisa has been featured as an expert guest and seen by millions on all the major television stations, such as CBS, Fox, ABC, NBC, the CW, as well as spoken on some of the most prestigious stages, including Harvard University and the Navy. As a professional speaker and entrepreneur, she's trained over 120,000 entrepreneurs in the last 20 years on wellness, leadership, relationships to grow yourself, your business, and your mind. Wow, that's pretty impressive. So before we bring her on the stage, we're going to go to a video, and then we'll go to Lisa. Enjoy the presentation.
I started Find to Fab years ago because of a challenge I had with an eating disorder, dealing with depression, emotional abuse, and physical abuse. And I knew that I couldn't be the only one looking for the solution, dealing with traditional therapy or self-help programs and not being able to get the results I wanted. Because of it, I started neuro-associative programming, where we can get rid of problems that took years. We can do it in weeks or months and not have to deal with shame, blame, and therapy for a lifetime. One of the most important things I want to share with you is that this is not something that you have to hold on to. This is not who you are. It's something that happened to you, and you can change the meaning and the story around it. And we've helped thousands of people, now touched millions of lives, and be able to make a difference so that people can live an authentic life, happy, healthy, and free.
And I learned more with Lisa in the first hour consultation than I did in 2.5 years of traditional therapy. It changed my life.
Awesome. So I'm just so grateful for Lisa and everything that you've worked with me and everything. And now I didn't just rescue myself, but I rescued my family.
I came from a place with shoulds and have-tos and not able to make any decisions. And now I feel like I have all the choices in the world and that I'm abundant in every area of my life and that everything is possible.
You know, went through a lot of therapy. So I benefited more from the 10 weeks that I spent working with Lisa and Find to Fab than all the years of therapy.
And then I didn't know how to deal with my emotions, so I would eat. I just wanted to be happy.
And opened so many new doors for me, and I'm so grateful.
You will meet those goals. I have gone down from like a size 26, 28 to an 18, 20 with this program, and me loving myself enough to feel worthy.
You deserve it. You deserve the best. It's the best thing I could have done because it has brought my business and me personally just 10 times more than I could have in just 6 months. This has been a life-changing experience for me. It has touched every phase of my life, and it gives me hope in every phase of my life.
Okay, I want to thank you all for being here, and I'm excited to help you take a step forward. I know you have food in your hand. Some of you are having your lunch right now. And what I'd like you to do with a free hand, find a free hand, I want you to high-five the person next to you and say, I'm going to learn something today. Now I want you to high five with your other hand, somebody on your other side. And switch hand and now do it again. There's a reason. High five, and I want you to actually say, I'm taking my first step forward now. I'm taking my first step forward now. Good. Okay. So we're going to talk about overcoming self-sabotage. And I'm sure there's no one in here who's ever done anything to hurt themselves, has never had stinking thinking, said negative things to themselves, has gotten in their own way of progress, has hurt themselves either through eating the wrong things, saying the wrong things, spending money they didn't have, or doing things that didn't serve them. No one, right? Just making sure. Is anyone else there like me who's ever had a challenge in their life with any of the above? Raise your hand just so I know I'm not alone. Thank you. Good thing you're in the dark. No one knows who you are. You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to tell you, you're going to learn more by participating today than just being present. I know that adult participatory, when we do things, we actually embed it into our body. We've actually made changes. If you're sitting here just to kind of into what we're saying, you say, I'm not going to do anything, then you're going to leave the same way you came. But we already started the change. Okay, I'm happy you're paying attention. We're going to talk about becoming even more successful. Now, I know that everybody here, just being hired with Konica Minolta, you're already successful. They wouldn't have hired you if they didn't think you had value. Know that every single person in this room has value and is already a winner. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to give you proof. It took 10 million sperms to produce one of you. You won. So you're already a winner. High five the person next to you and say, I am a winner. You're already starting out as a winner. You know, looking at me now, you wouldn't have known where I came from. I got you going. I need you to come back. Looking at me now, you wouldn't have known where I came from. I came from a traditional dysfunctional family where everyone said disparaging words. It wasn't Leave It to Beaver or the Cleavers. I didn't quite grow up with that. And despite that, I managed to become very successful. I worked for companies like IBM and MCI. I was top in the country. You would think she's got the best life in the world. She's doing amazing. And I'm saying amazing. And what was interesting is I'd still go home and beat myself up. No matter how great I was doing, it was never enough. Maybe I was only number 2 and I wanted to be number 1. It wasn't enough. Maybe I looked really great, but I wasn't skinny enough. Or maybe my bank book didn't match where I thought I should be, so I wasn't rich enough. And maybe somebody in the office was a little smarter than me and I didn't understand something, but they did. Now I wasn't smart enough. It was quite amazing that I lived in this world of not enough. And despite it, everything I did, to everybody else's view, was amazing and so much more than enough. Isn't that the way life is for most people? Especially achievers. Because it's usually the successful people that have the hardest time. I've been all over the TVs and everything else sharing what I do. And the funny thing is what I'm doing now was never what I planned to do. I was always curious on why we sabotage ourselves, more so because I spent 13 years hurting myself. And I couldn't even understand how can someone so smart do so many dumb things to herself. Now I want you to hear what I said. I didn't say I was dumb. I said I did dumb things. Does this make sense? Because people sometimes confuse behavior with who they are as identity. A lot of people do not do smart things. And let me tell you when smart things don't show up. Ready? When we're stressed, we do stupid. Anybody ever stressed here? Never, right? But when we're stressed, we do stupid. And it's like, well, my God, why? Because your brain is trying to look for an answer. It doesn't know what to do. It starts searching, and all of a sudden you make choices like, why am I making this choice? It doesn't even make sense. You know better, but you're still making it because stress does that. So how do you actually live in a world without stress when there are stressful situations, there are deadlines at work, right? People are expecting things of you, even at home. Well, we're going to talk about what kind of people sabotage themselves. It's usually the people, and now you might actually fit some of the criteria. It's usually the smart people. I found the smart people that actually think themselves into stagnation, right? Because they're so smart, they're looking for what's going to go wrong. Nobody like that here, right? Or the overthinkers. You know, it's great to think, but sometimes people don't think enough, and sometimes people think too much, and to the point where they don't do anything, into frustration, anxiety, depression, looking at what's right and what's wrong. The perfectionist tendencies. That was me. Any other former perfectionist or perfectionist now? Okay, that's a great way to be in pain, because the perfectionist is never going to be good enough.
So you're over there looking to make it better, better, better. Great quality to want to make it better, but it'll never be enough. People who want more, the people pleasers who want to change everything, make everybody happy. I thought it was really interesting that an airline decided to give everybody in a plane, JetBlue, if you heard about it, they're going to give everybody in a plane a free flight anywhere in the United States, right? And they could not get the whole plane. Everybody had to agree on that flight, and there was always somebody who would not agree, so nobody got a flight. So if you're going to try to please everybody, is there a chance that you'll ever succeed? No. So who would be the most important person to please? Yourself. Oh my God, how great would that be? People who feel they're not good enough in some areas, or people who feel they need to be successful in others. So let's talk about, if you know what you're doing is not working, why don't you change? Any answers here? Fear, I heard. What else? What?
It's hard.
It's hard. Okay, it's hard. What other things? Just throw it out and I'll repeat it. You don't know how to. What? You don't know what to change to, right? If your model is this is the way I've been doing it, and you don't have another example on how else to change, right? So if you know, why don't you? Well, here's how it starts. The first thing is we do have some handouts for you to make it really easy, but the first reason is because of your beliefs. Now, your beliefs are really important. By the time you were 5 years old, 55% of your beliefs were formed. 55% by well-meaning parents and guardians that told you what was right and what was wrong. Now, I'm going to let you know, they might not have always told you the truth. Would you believe that? How do I know? Did anybody hear about the Easter Bunny? If they lied about that, they might have lied about other things too, you know, right? But what it is the beliefs were what they were brought up with things that they put in place to either protect you or serve you in whatever manner, right? They told you what was right and wrong. So you adopted 55% of your belief system just by what you were taught when you were 5. You didn't have a filter. You didn't say this is right or this is wrong. You just said, okay, that must be true, right? Because why would my parents, guardians, preachers, teachers ever lie to me? But there's a word in the middle of the word belief, and what is it? Everybody say it? Lie. It's the lies we tell ourselves, because there's no way to prove any belief. What was some of the beliefs you grew up with? I was told that when I was making 6 figures, I would have arrived. In other words, it wasn't okay if I was making $50,000 a year in my home. I had to be making over $100,000 a year or more to have attained success based on their standards. Who made that up? Obviously somebody in my family, right? What are the beliefs? I was told that you're supposed to get married, have 2.5 kids, have the white picket fence, right? Who made that up? I'm supposed to have the right job, the right guy, right? Supposed to fall in love forever after? Who made that one up? Right? So what are the beliefs were you given? And I'm sure you're thinking of some of your own right now, right? That you turned around, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to look a certain way, be a certain way, do a certain thing, because this is what happens. This is every single person in the world. But here's what happens. Beliefs, by the time you were 12 years old, you started realizing that, you know what, some of these might not be true. Like the tooth fairy might not be really a fairy. It might be mom or dad putting the money under my pillow, right? You started realizing that. But what happened is these beliefs were formed and they became the foundation of you as your tree. You have created the tree. You are exactly where you believe you're supposed to be. I'll show you and I'll prove it to you as well. Think about the first thing you decided when you actually said beliefs. I don't know if you can see this here. This is a picture of a tree. And my home is back here. Hurricane Sandy came around, and this tree is over 100-something feet tall. It is big and mighty and strong, and on the outside, it looks like it's got it all together, right? It's sturdy. But underneath it, this is what was interesting. The roots were very shallow, very shallow. They weren't even able to support the tree. It took out most of our property. It took out a lot of other things in its destruction of not being able to take care of itself. The beliefs were formed on the fact of a shallow foundation. And that's what most of us do. It's formed based on our beliefs, our values, our attitudes. And what happens is we have what we call a belief tree. And if I want to just show you that picture of that tree, because I want you to see, look how big it is, but look how shallow the roots are here, right? And you can put the light back because I'll make it, you won't have any more of those. But what happens is in your belief tree, what ends up happening is every one of us has a tree, and you can pull out your tree right now. I want you to just write down, and please do this for yourself. You're not sharing with anybody. Write down a belief that you're holding on to that you knew and know that if you got rid of it, your life can actually change, like that's not serving you. I'm going to give you some standard beliefs that most of the people I come in contact with have. The first and the biggest belief people have is I'm not good enough. Biggest in human nature, I'm not good enough. The second is I'm not good enough, I'm not going to be loved. But then there's other beliefs that are adjunct to it. It's like I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not bright enough, I'm not diverse enough. I don't have the right hair color. My eyes aren't the right color. I never will find a man. No one's going to love me. No woman's going to want me. I can't support a family. What are some of the beliefs that you have that you say to yourself on a normal basis? Now I'm going to make sure I make it easier. This belief that you say to yourself is not about your job right now. This belief started when you were an infant. This is the belief you grew up with. This is the belief that grew the foundation for who you are. It's who you are. So most people will say, well, my belief is I can't get that promotion. No, if your belief is I can't get that promotion, the question is, why can't you get that promotion? Well, it might be that I'm not smart enough, I don't have the right thing. You see how it goes back to the basic foundation of enough, right? It always goes back to that. And then you're like, well, geez, I'm so smart. Why am I doing this to myself? Anybody else feel that way right now? Because I felt like that, like, geez, how can that be? I'm so smart. Why would I be doing that? It's because human nature, we need to understand human psychology. This is what we do. So we create the foundation of the beliefs. So throw out some beliefs for me, and I'm not going to throw the mic, so I just want you to yell. Give me some beliefs that are out there that maybe that don't serve you, if you will. I need your support. Not smart enough, okay? Throw some more. Got that one. Another one. Go ahead. Any more? Not pretty enough. You're just using all of mine. Give me yours. You got the... I have to be in a relationship. You have to be in a relationship. Okay. Any more? I'm listening. I can do it right or I can't do it well. Okay. Right or not at all? Okay. You got the idea, right? So we have all these different things of I'm not enough, and if I'm not enough, what does it really mean? I have to be in a relationship. But if I'm not in a relationship, then I'm not enough and I won't be loved, right? I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. What does it mean to be pretty? Who cares? Well, if pretty, why? What happens if you're pretty or you're not pretty? Well, if I'm pretty, someone would be interested in me, right? Or if I'm pretty, I'll fit in. Or if I'm pretty, people will like me. Does this making sense to everybody? Okay, it always goes back to this fundamental. Why is this so important? Because here's what happens. Your beliefs are your foundation. And here's the fun part. Your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between fact and fiction. So if you tell it something often enough, it will believe it to be true. And then it will create situations in your life to reinforce it being true. Oh my God. So if you say I'm not pretty enough, you'll find all your friends around you will look prettier than you. Because you'll give yourself a way to support. See, I don't look like her. I'm not as skinny as her. I'm not as rich as her. You get it? Like you start supporting the environment. You go, no, I don't. Yeah, we do. We do. It's amazing. And then the other things is your motivation. Your motivation, if you believe, let me just use, if it's, I'm not smart enough. If we use not smart enough, you'll end up finding situations to prove yourself that you're not smart enough. Maybe you're working on a project, and all of a sudden you can't get your answers. And you're going, I'm not smart enough. But what if you addressed it in a whole different perspective is, I am smart, and I'm going to figure it out. I remember my husband and I were on a cruise with his mom, and she wanted to teach us the game Hearts. Does anybody play cards here? Okay, I'm not a really good card player, and I'm saying I'm not. Hear what I'm saying? But my husband is a genius, and he's really awesome with cards. But I turned around, and I didn't know that hearts was not the easiest game to learn, but this is my mentality. I said, I'm smart. I can learn anything. And we only had a short time for the cruise to be over. She starts laughing. She's going like, she couldn't believe. I'm like, we're smart. We can learn it. And she just was hysterical. I'm thinking, what's so funny? I don't understand what's so funny about that. But my mental state is I am smart. See, because if I went to it, I'm not smart. Do you think I could ever learn the game? No, I did learn the game. I just found it's too much work. They get angry when you make the wrong move. I don't want to do that. So it's not that I'm not smart. It's just that they have too many rules, and I don't like the rules. So I can learn it, right? But the idea is how you go about it was really important. So what happens is the values, the tree, your trunk is your values. What's important to you? If what's important to you is love or security and safety or passion or it's going to be very different if your values are integrity and security and somebody else's values are passion, right? They're going to be a lot different risk takers, right, than that person. And then what happens is your tree is exactly where you are. So I'll give you an example. Let's use the SMART. We started talking about SMART, and I'm going to show you a quick tree. And this can be anybody's tree. It doesn't matter who it is. And normally I would like to do a demonstration, but for sake of time, I'm going to make it really short. So here you have your tree. And if the foundation belief is, I am not smart, here's what happens. And I'm going to talk about a client of mine. What happened is she wasn't smart enough, right? So what happened is, where did it come from? It came from the father saying that she wasn't enough. It came from having to take tests and study very hard. It came from the family having other people that were so smart she felt like she had to compete, right? And then all the other things that she was told, so-and-so did it, you should be able to do this. So what happened is the values was all about integrity. It was all about love. It was all about safety. These are all the values and where she lived. And what happened is because her value was I'm not smart enough, her tree needed to prove that she was smart enough. So after college, she decided college wasn't enough. I need to go for more training. So education became so big. How much does a college education cost today? Who's putting someone through school? 100,000? What? 140. Okay, 140. So say it was 140,000. She decided to invest another $550,000 in her education after college because she wasn't smart enough, so she felt like she had to keep learning. And then she ended up graduating honors. She got the best job in the best companies. She was promoted all the time, decided that wasn't enough because the family said that, entrepreneurs make more money. So she opened up businesses. One wasn't enough. She opened up 3. Each one 6-figure, really successful. What happened is because of her tree was I'm not smart enough, her whole life, her whole tree needed to be about proving to anybody else that she was. Make sense? That tree is me. Isn't that interesting? The truth is I was always smart enough. Maybe I wasn't the best test taker because I got a 3.9 instead of 4.0. But it wasn't there wasn't anything wrong with me, but there was a value of belief that made me keep pushing, but it didn't serve me. So I ended up with high blood pressure. I ended up with a sudden heart attack at 18. I ended up hurting myself using food because I didn't know how to deal with it. I don't care what your ism is, what the reason is. It's how we show up to make ourselves feel better. Thank God, 23 years now, I don't do that, but it's because of what I'm going to show you next. You need to figure out how to remove this unconscious thing. The next handout you have is your unconscious and conscious mind. This is why you do what you do. And I really wish someone taught me this like 40 years ago instead of just 30. So here's what happens. Let's look at this. Do you remember the expression you went to school, you heard the tip of the iceberg from Freud, the iceberg model? They say it's the tip of the iceberg, right? Well, what's the tip? The tip is your conscious mind. It's only 10% of what you do. It's what you see. Okay, it's the behaviors that how you're acting. That's the tree, by the way. That's the thing you do to prove to yourself that belief that wasn't working. You with me? Okay, awesome. So now what happens is you have the unconscious mind here. Well, the challenge is, let's talk about the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is the ship that steers everything you do. That has to do with the strategies that you've created to be able to be successful and do what you do. It has to do with the habits that you do, why you do things the way you do it, how you do it, all the other things. The I are the impulses or the emotions. It's the emotions that you do. Emotions are energy in motion. Why you get upset about things, why you're excited about other things. It has everything to do with what's driving you based on your attitudes and beliefs and values. That tree I showed you is all under here. That's your unconscious mind, okay? It's what's been working. Then we have your physiological control. Do you know that just by your emotions handling them, you can control your blood pressure? You can control your cholesterol? You can control your heart, no strokes, no heart attacks. We have total control if we believe. But if we're lying to ourselves the wrong way, our unconscious will believe whatever we tell it to, so you have to be careful what you tell it. So here's your ship, and then what happens is that person who believes they're not smart enough, they'll turn around and look for ways to prove it. You know, I just was working on a project at work, and I didn't get it the way that the manager wanted it. Oh, there's something wrong with me. So then we go to this thing called HALT. Okay? HALT stands for, can you read it out loud with me? Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. When you get hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, we need to halt, stop what we're doing. But here's what most people do. You get frustrated, you don't know what's going on, you really don't know how to deal with it because you didn't get the right resources, or if somebody said the training, right, to know what to do. So what you might do is you get hungry, or maybe you just ate now, and then something happens in an hour, and all of a sudden you're hungry, but you're not hungry for food. But instead of asking yourself the question, what am I hungry for? You're really hungry for the right answer, for the solution, maybe a hug. You might go for food. Does that make sense? So when we get hungry, or when we get angry, somebody gets us upset and we get angry, or lonely, sometimes we're human beings. If you didn't notice that, we need each other. You get lonely, you want companionship. I don't mean just a mate. I mean friends and people in your life, right? Or tired. How many people work themselves into the point of like hitting that brick wall and you crash? Right? Right? And that comes probably, and I'm gonna hallucinate that you might be a perfectionist too, that you want everything right because you'll keep going until you get it. Would that be close? Okay, so what happens is she'll get to the point for being so, instead of halting and stopping what you're doing, here's the fun part. This is how your brain works. I think it's so cool. It says halt, and here's what happens. You're saying, no, I can do it, right? And then it goes and talks to your conscious mind, which is your war. That's your willpower, analytical, and rational part, okay? And it wages a war. It says, I know I need to stop. I know I'm so tired. I know I need to stop. But you go, but I got to get this done. And if I don't get it done, I'm going to end up having this, and I won't have more hours, and I won't be able to do this. And you have this whole thing, you rationalize, and you justify, and you go through all this stuff, and then you get it done, but it's never even where you wanted it to be, and then you crash. So you just waged a war. You see this? You waged a war on yourself. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. This is how, unfortunately, most people work. Would you like to know how to stop doing that? Yes. I didn't hear everybody. Yes. Some of you want to take it home with you. Come on. Let's just get rid of it. So here we go. We're going to talk about how to get rid of it. So the first thing is we need to be aware that anything we attach I am to, we become. So when I asked you before, what were some of those negative beliefs you might have been carrying? Like I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not rich enough, all those things. You become, right? So here's what I did. I wrote the book Find to Fab. I actually wrote the book, and Fine was how I used to feel. And I'm going to give you the PG version. Fine was frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. None of you can relate. If I give you the R version, you might. Okay. And I said I'd much rather be Fab, which is fabulous, awesome, beautiful. And you can go by the table with the books, and you can check them out after, because they'll give you even more detail on what we're going to cover next. But what was interesting is most people will say, I'm fine. Do you ever ask people how they are? They go, I'm fine. fine. I'm fine. Here's some definitions of fine, and let me tell me if you're still fine. Unloved, lonely, abandoned, confused, worthless, defeated. I'm a failure, depressed, unhappy, used, broken. You like I'm fine anymore? If you want to adopt it, go ahead. But maybe that's not the one you want to adopt, right? But much rather be, how about a different I am, something that's positive, kind of like being I'm valuable, I'm trusted, I'm loyal, I'm worthy. Right now on your paper, write down 5 positive I ams. 5 that you can make part of your vocabulary, getting rid of that tree that we just started working on. 5 things. And then I'm going to ask just to throw them out. Maybe I'm going to give you some examples. It can be I'm confident, I'm kind, I'm courageous, I'm stupendous, I'm amazing, I'm fabulous, I'm awesome, I'm beautiful, I'm bold, I'm brave, I'm smart, I'm rich, I'm getting healthy. Write down 5. I think, well, actually, if you work with me, you need 50, so 5 is nothing. Every morning it's 5. I have a ritual every morning. I actually have all my clients do the same thing. We have 50 positive I ams every morning, but we don't just say, I'm fabulous, I'm awesome, I'm beautiful. I'm like, I'm fabulous, I'm awesome, I'm beautiful, I'm kind, I'm courageous, I'm amazing. Do you know what happens when you do that in your home out loud? Your family starts believing it too. So get down 5. Does everybody have at least 3? Do we have 3? Can we raise a hand so I know you have at least 3? Can you raise your hand so I can keep going? Okay, please get at least 3 down. Okay? 3 of them. Can you throw out some so people have a loss for what they can be wonderful at? You can just throw some out.
Positive.
I'm positive.
Hardworking.
Hardworking. Passionate.
Worthy.
Worthy. I like that. Loyal. Supportive. Funny. Tough. Awesome. Okay, so here's what I want you all to do. I want you to stand up right now. Okay, no one cares what you're saying. I want you to say I'm gonna give you 3. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2. And these are the only 2 you're going to say. The last one will be your own. Repeat after me. I'm fabulous. Fabulous. I'm awesome. I'm awesome. And the last one's yours. I am. Do it again. You're I am. I am. Amazing. Awesome. Give your neighbor a high 5 and say, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Find your seat. Find your seat. Find your seat. What was really sad to find out is only 4% of the women in the world actually think they're beautiful. Only 2% will recognize it. This study was done by Dove with over 672 million women. So you start to understand, why is there so many people with low self-esteem, poor body image, don't like themselves? Where is this coming from? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Sometimes, and I hate to say it, our moms weren't good role models in some cases. Or media did an amazing job of really devaluing how amazing every one of us, men and women, are, telling us how we're supposed to look, what becomes quality, what becomes okay, and all of a sudden we're actually judging ourselves based on what we think we're supposed to be versus who we are. The truth is, you're all fabulous, awesome, beautiful, or bold, whatever works for you, or brave for the men. The idea is that we were told something else, and these were the beliefs you decided to hold on to. And beliefs are, again, the lies we tell ourselves. So if we're going to lie to ourselves about being unworthy, does it make sense we should lie to ourselves about something positive? Like, how about being worthy and amazing and fabulous, and right? Doesn't that make sense? But here's what happens. There's a filter going on in your head saying, that's not true. That sounds hokey. This girl's coming in and saying all this stuff. Okay. Well, this girl actually has not only done it for herself, but she's done it for tens of thousands of people. And it's actually not me who's done it. It's they have done it because they decided to adopt it. The irony about it, I've had people that were unbelievably successful, judges, come to me who, in every right of the word, they were the head, they were doing phenomenal, and would go home and hurt themselves because they didn't think they were worthy of good. Engineers, same thing. Teachers, same thing. I don't care who you are. It's like this thing that goes on. There's a self-talk that needs to change. So one thing is, for the women, let's do it together. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. Say it like you mean it. I am beautiful. One more, I don't believe you. I am beautiful. Men, help me out. I am amazing. Men? Oh, I love the voice, but come on, give it to me a little bit more. I'm not going to support you on this one because I'm not a man. So do it, and show off for us. Ready? One more time, men. Brag. Say it one more time.
I am amazing.
Thank you. Can you stand up and support them? They need help. You're so good. Can you do it in here? And just so they can hear. And then you're going to follow him, okay? Give him it's a mic.
It's a mic?
Yeah, so just say, get your men to follow you.
All right, here we go. I am amazing.
Okay, one more time.
One more time. Ready? 2, 3. I am amazing.
Thank you. Give your audience a hand. Can you imagine how different your day would start if every morning you got up and you said, I'm amazing? Do you think better answers would come to you, better solutions when things are going wrong? Here's how I'm going to show you what happens. Most people show up, and I saw you walk in, and I was so excited to greet most of you. I didn't get to shake everybody's hand, but I did my best to meet as many as I could. But I always love seeing that your body tells us everything about you. See, what we do privately shows up publicly. If you work out, we can tell. There's nice bulges there. Looks really good. You can tell if you're working out twice a week or 3 times a week. If you're going home and eating, we can tell there too, because it shows up somewhere. If you're not happy, it shows up in your physiology and how you stand. You're not standing like this, you're standing like this. Think of somebody depressed right now. I want you to put your body in the place it would go if somebody was depressed. What's it look like? Some of you know how to do it really easy. You've been doing it before. Right? What does a depressed person look like? Where are their eyes? Where are their shoulders? How are they breathing? Shallow or deep? Shallow. So you know how to do depressed. Yay! Here's what it is. Guys, you're doing these behaviors. You're not them. Please hear me. You are not depressed. You do not have stress. You're doing stress. You do not have anxiety. You're doing anxiety. All the stuff you're doing, you get to choose. You actually get to stop doing it. It's a choice. It's a what? Choice. Now that's even worse. Now you know it's a choice. Now it's your fault that you're doing it. Because you can choose not to. I was actually put up 13 prescription drugs by the time I was 30 years old for depression, anxiety, chemical imbalance. I'm on no drugs for 23 years because I realized I wasn't sick. I was doing sick. I was doing sick. And honestly, if you knew more of my past, which you can watch with a webinar I'm going to offer you at the end for free, you'll understand I had many reasons of abuse to be depressed, angry, anxiety, all the other things. And like I say, looking at me now, you wouldn't know who I am and what I went through. The idea is that you are choosing every day to do whatever you're doing. And I want to give you some tools now. I gave you a bookmark, and the bookmark will have these 7 things on it, so it's a great reference for you to use later. But I'm going to go through them pretty quickly right now. So the first thing in the bookmark is acknowledging fear and doubt. You know, in order to get through anything else, we need to know we're doing it, right? And some of you are really quick. You know you're doing it, but it's like, well, how do I stop doing this, right? It's like, well, we're going to start giving you some more tools here already, just so you realize we've given you many. From the way you're holding your body. Because I left you in depression, can you show me what it looks like to be happy? Like, what's happy look like? Oh, your body even changes. Look how you do that. Sit up straight. Sit up straight. Put your shoulders back. Now, I'm going to give everybody a trick. You all have a pen. They were all put on your tables. Can you put the pen in your mouth and let me show you what it looks like? Let me get a pen. I'm sorry. Okay. So what happens is there's actually a pathway in your brain that knows, like when you're smiling, it's unable to feel bad because there's certain I call the synapses, but I'm trying to use it in layman's terms. There's certain parts of our brain that just connect, and when it sees you're smiling, it says, oh, they want to be happy. So I'm going to just think happy thoughts. And when you're actually smiling, it's impossible to think bad thoughts. So I want you to test my theory, okay? Take your pens, just like this, straight across. Come on, everybody. I'm watching every one of you. Who's like my guy in my blue shirt? Come on, sweetheart. I'm getting tested at the end of this. I need to make sure everybody passes. Come on. You think because you're in back there, no one's going to see you? Okay. So what I want you to do, I want you to take the pen and I want you to just put it in your mouth like this. Stay like that. I want you to think of something bad. Try to think of something bad. Go ahead. Try to think of something bad. Try to think of something bad. Challenging, isn't it? Now watch. Everybody at Konica Minolta is going to walk around like this. I have a solution for you. You have an employee walk in your office and they're not being nice and they're in a bad mood. Say, can you please put a pen in your mouth? And then talk to me in a minute and I'll get back to you. Okay? Because here's what happens. Your mind cannot think of something negative when you're smiling. So what if you practice smiling all the time? Wouldn't that be cool, right? And if you're not a person who smiles all the time, you're going to need a lot of wrinkle cream when you get older because you get all these extra wrinkles. But the other benefit is if you're not used to smiling, this is a great way to practice smiling. Like, if that's not your norm, just to put it in your mouth and do that, it'll also change people's state. I think it's great to give to kids, too, because it shuts them up for a minute. But it's a really great tool, and it really works, okay? So acknowledging fear and doubt. The second is taking inventories of life's lessons and beliefs. Now, we talked about beliefs, and obviously we all have a lot of life lessons. You were taught by well-meaning parents telling you what was good, what was bad. And then I'm sure there was a point in your life, the reason why you might be sabotaging yourself is when you realized it wasn't working any longer. And the reason you start sabotaging is because you think there's a right and wrong way of doing it. So now you're trying to live in the beliefs of what other people told you, but it's like trying to wear hand-me-down clothes. They don't fit. And all of a sudden you're thinking, but this is what they told me and they love me. And I'll give you an example. If anybody heard this, don't talk to strangers. Anybody ever hear that? Don't talk to strangers. How many people here are shy? You're not going to raise your hand, right? Because you're shy. But don't talk to strangers. How challenging does that become? Thank you, sweetheart. How challenging does that become to communicate with other people when you decide you're shy, and then all of a sudden you realize, I'm not really a shy person. I just have rules about having to be right, how I'm going to be seen, what people are going to think about me. And maybe it's easier just to be quiet and be shy. But we might have been told these things, and we kind of wore these hand-me-down beliefs until they just don't fit anymore. They just don't fit. And you don't know how to get out of it, because when you try to get out of it, you think you're doing something wrong. And you remember that ship? You take yourself down in the ship. The hull comes up, you go to war, and then you're in this vicious cycle. Is this making sense to everybody? It's crazy, right? It doesn't have to stay that way. So acknowledging the lessons is important. Then it comes to breaking through toxic meanings and emotions. And the meanings and emotions are interesting. There's over 1 million words in the English language. 1 million. Ready for this? Most of us use 500 to 2,000 on a daily basis. Men use less. They do. There are 4,000 words that describe your emotions. Most people live in only a dozen. 80% of them are negative. So if you're going to live in negative emotions, how do you think you're going to feel most of the time? It's negative, bad, right? You're going to be bad. And here's the biggest challenge. The first time you had that emotion and the intensity of which you got it, when you repeat that emotion over and over again, it'll feel as bad as the first time. I'll give you an example. Road rage. You ever see? Are you one of those people? No. Oh, you married one. Okay. So here's what happens. You'll have about somebody, like the car cuts him off, right? Not on purpose, maybe. Just go. It's okay. He's not here, sweetheart. Don't replay it. But maybe the car cuts him off, and all of a sudden they're like, all exclamation marks here. They're all getting all upset about it, right? But all it was a car trying to get over to another lane, and all of a sudden it became a war, right? A whole war. What are you doing this? What are you doing this? Get in my hands. And they go crazy. Like, what was that? What was that? And what it was is the first time something bad happened, and maybe the person uses frustrated. Let's just use frustrated. It's really anger, but let's just make believe it's, okay, we'll use anger. So she's going, yes. Okay, so the first time they got angry, something really bad probably happened in their life that they got angry about, and it actually just woke in every sense in their entire body. So now, the next time something happens, like somebody just cuts them off, they get angry and they go, I'm so angry. And all of a sudden, the emotion is as if somebody killed them and killed their family and everything else is over, right? That's how strong emotions are. But if we don't break through the toxic meanings and emotions, we'll always replay the same thing over and over again. So if you're using the same words over and over again, like I'm angry or I'm frustrated, and then every time you say I'm frustrated, you feel that same intensity as the first time you created it, you're going to always feel frustrated. And it's going to be awful. Who would like to get rid of that? Only some people. The rest of you like feeling bad. Okay. Here's the first thing you can do is start changing your words, change your vocabulary. If you have an association to different words that keep bringing you back to feeling badly, I'm going to say bring you back to feeling fine. Now you know my definition, okay? So if you have words bringing you back to feeling fine, how about we change the words? So I'm going to give you two of my favorite words. Are you ready? Write them down. They're going to become your favorite too, I promise. Okay. The first word I want you to use when something goes not the way you want it to is interesting. Interesting. So when somebody does something that you don't like what they're doing, instead of saying that was stupid, you're going to say, interesting. Doesn't that feel good? Yeah? Okay. Okay. Interesting. And here's the great thing about interesting is if you end it with a smile, it just actually makes you feel better and you'll be more resourceful about how to come up with a better answer, right? Okay, the next one. You ready for the next one? What was the first one? Interesting. You guys are good. Good. Okay, the next one is fascinating. Fascinating. See, this is not a word people hear every day. So here's what I found is when somebody does something that normally I would probably have kind of like exclamation marks after or something, I just sit back and I'm just like, fascinating. You see the smile? Fascinating. Because fascinating I can deal with. Because I just have no clue what they were thinking. None at all. But I can turn around and be a lot more resourceful with fascinating than anything else I can think of. Do you follow? So it's a better thing. So what's my second word? Fascinating. First word? Second? Fascinating. Awesome. So you have two new words, and everybody will know who was at this training today when these things come out. But they're really powerful, and please take them and own them. You don't need to say where you got them. But here, so breaking through toxic meanings and emotions. In the book, I go through a lot more about how to do that as well as on the free webinar you're all going to get. Breaking the trance. We talked about the ship, the halt, and the war. And now it's just understanding you're doing that. If we are not the first step of acknowledging the fear and doubt, knowing what we're doing, where it's coming from, then we're unable to break through the toxic meanings and emotions as well as breaking the trance. The trance is when we're now at a conscious and unconscious state saying, okay, this is no longer working. I need to find a new way to do this. And we have some crazy things that we do to break trances. Are you willing to do one crazy thing? I sing a no. Look at her. She's so cute. I see you back there. You thought that was the invisible row. It's not. It's not. Just saying. Okay. At the very end, we're going to have everybody do that, okay, because I want to make sure I get through. So then we're going to talk about uncovering unconscious patterns and behaviors. You know, the unconscious patterns, you don't even know you're doing it. But the thing is, now that we've planted some seeds of maybe ways we're hurting ourselves, things we're saying that don't serve us, maybe the self-talk that keeps replicating and showing up poorly and how we perform, how we show up for others, how we show up for relationships can start changing, right, because we have information. So here's what happens. This starts to be where we're going to look and say, how can we change these behaviors? It's going to start with the identity, the I ams. I'm fabulous, awesome, beautiful, kind, loving, courageous, amazing, courageous, whatever it is. I suggest everybody create 50 I ams. How many? 50. Yeah, and I want you to say them every day in front of the mirror before you go to work. Your company, you're going to be, I'm going to put this on record. You'll start getting promotions and not know why. Except the fact that you're going to show up more positive than you've ever been, and you're going to be more resourceful and much better team player because you're going to come in a state that actually can serve others versus drain them. So start your day with 50 I ams every day. Also, stop waiting for perfection. I'm going to let you know perfection is the lowest standard. There is no such thing as perfect. Even an artist doesn't know when their painting is done, or a carpenter. It's just when it's at your best, and that's it. I'm going to share with everybody, do your best, forget the test. There is no test at the end of this. We're never going to please everybody. We talked about that on the airline. You just need to please you. If you can do a good job pleasing you, you're going to do an amazing job pleasing others because you're going to show up at the best version of you. And when we're trying to please everyone else, it's usually at the expense of someone, usually you. So you want to be able to take care of that as well. And finally, make peace, practice gratitude, and celebrate. One of the biggest challenges I had as a former perfectionist was this last step, was the 7th step, making peace, like being okay with what happened to me in my life, like being okay with being abused, with other things that happened. It's like to be okay with it. I'm not okay that it happened. I don't need to dwell on it. It's not who I am today. Every cell, organ, everything in your body changes every 2 years. You're not even the same person you were 2 years ago. The only thing that comes back that's constant is your memory. So you bring it back. If you have a disease, dis-ease with oneself, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but I had to tell you I have no fibromyalgia. Because what happens, it was an accident years ago. The only thing that came back was my memory. When I finally stopped bringing my memory back into it, I have no dis-ease. Totally amazing. Make peace, okay? The second is practice gratitude. Every night before you go to sleep, write down 5 things you're grateful for. 5 things. You're going to wake up in such a better state. You don't even, between your I ams and your gratitude, 5 things you're grateful for. You know what? At the beginning it might be hard because you might think grateful is the home you want or the relationship you want or the promotion you want. But what about grateful that you have an amazing opportunity, that you have a job when other people don't? What about grateful that you have a house and a roof over your head? What about grateful that you have a car you can get in, you don't have to walk to work? Gratitude can start as I'm grateful I woke up. Every day above ground is a good day. Isn't that an easy way to be grateful? Every day above ground is a good day. How easy is it for me to be grateful? My husband wakes up every morning and he just rolls over and he goes, "Hi, gorgeous." He is so happy. That's his thing. It's like he gets to wake up in bed with me and he's happy. How easy it is to please this man, yes? And then the last piece is celebrate. Celebrate is really important. And I mean celebrate everything. And some people will think, that's kind of silly, but a lot of things I said to you might have been silly, but wouldn't you agree all the bad things you've said to yourself for years has been silly too? Okay, so here's something celebrating. Learn to celebrate everything. You got a job. I want everybody to go, yay! Yay! Okay, you have friends, yay! Yay! You had lunch, yay! Yay! You have clothes to wear, yay! You have somewhere to go after this, yay! You have a home to go to, yay! Okay, now most of you would think, that's so silly, why would I celebrate that? Because most people are waiting for the promotion to celebrate, for the new home, for the new car, for something big. I'm going to tell you, if you don't learn to celebrate the little things, you can't bring to the universe the big things. So 5 things every single day that you're grateful for. There was a time when I couldn't think of one. Couldn't think of one. I was so beaten up that I couldn't think of anything. I had to start with the very ridiculous. I was grateful I had 2 hands. I was grateful I had 2 feet. I was grateful I had 2 eyes I can see. There are people can't see. I was grateful I can actually walk. I mean, I had to start at the basic stuff. Because I at one time said, there's nothing to be grateful for. My life is awful. That's not true, though. I thought it was at the time. The only meaning anything has is the meaning you give it, right? Start celebrating everything. Every little thing you can celebrate. I celebrate getting to see my girlfriends. I'm so excited. Like, I see them. I'm like, yay. And somebody's like, what's wrong with you? Come on, you're in your 50s. Stop that. I'm like, no. I'll be in my 100s doing the same thing because I'll be happy. And I'm not going to please anyone else but me, right? So you want to learn to celebrate. every one of you, you don't have the address down, write down the first website address. It's 7 Secrets to Fab. It is a webinar that I put together going over the 7 secrets in more detail than I had the opportunity to give it to you now. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, start getting more people happy at home and in your life. It's really a wonderful tool to use. I also have an offer that if you'd like, the books are available here. By the table, and you can get the book. The book is normally online at $25. It's going to be discounted here, only $20. If you do get the book, you're also going to be eligible for a free consultation with me and see if and how we can help you. So I want to thank you all for being here. You're wonderful. I so appreciate you playing full out with me. And I want you to know before I go, there's one benefit to being in the front row is the person in the front row who got there first actually gets a free book. So next time, get there early, get in the front row. Thank you. I'm just going to, before I want to share one more thing. If you'd like to be on our news line, if you just text Find to Fab to 90210, like you put the word put Find to Fab and 90210, you can just get on our mailings if you'd like to for events and things to share with your friends and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. That was a great presentation, and we have such great tools to take away. We have a little thank you for you.
Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. I have your 5 books there. Okay, thank you.
So I just want to mention one thing about this webinar that Lisa had up on the screen. I actually watched it a couple of times because I thought it was so good. And one of the many things that I got out of it was to face my fears straight on. So when they asked me to do the introduction today, 2 minutes before the meeting, of course I was very fearful. But I said, you know what? I'm going to face it straight on. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do the best job. So was it perfect? No, but thank you for your support for that. So I really do encourage all of you to watch it. You'll really get a lot out of it, I think.